is what we're about is living longer in the wellness zone. And primarily what we want to do is to stay in this wellness zone longer. And the way to do that is to take nutritional supplements. You just have to do that. And because you have to keep your cells functioning properly, and the cells need nutrition. And part of the dilemma that we face in our diet and our food supply is that we're deficient in the nutrients that are available. So this talk is going to be about New Eden supplements. And so we're going to toss that over to Dr. Reg. And of course, well, first of all, I want to, if you would like to order, here's the link for you. It's www.wellnessquest.org and then / my name, Earl. So, and it's Wellness Quest, and it's org. It's not .com or .net or anything like it. It's .org. Okay. And so if you want, if later on you want to have questions for Dr. McDaniel, what he's done is provide his email. And so his email address is rmcdaniel@wellnessquest.org. Okay. rmcdaniel@wellnessquest.org. So we're going to toss it over to Dr. Reg, and we're going to start with just a whole list of what the ingredients are, and then we'll move on to each individual ingredient. Okay. So Dr. Reg, it's yours.
Well, the first thing I would say is that we are supporting the engineering and design of life that is coded in DNA, which is the life code that controls the assembly of nutrients and cellular synthesis to make bioactive compounds that run the biochemistry and physiology of life. And within each cell within the body, every cell, every organ, there's a little assembly line, and each cell is essentially a little micro factory that, depending on the gene that's activated, it mixed together nutrient molecules to make compounds that run the biochemistry and physiology of life. And each one of these substances, like rice bran, is got multiple plant molecules in it. Sunflower lecithin has multiple ones. And the one I know the most about is aloe leaf powder. Well, the way it's produced now, there are about 250 additional nutrient molecules from the aloe plant that is along with the most active ingredient in this formulation, which is acetylated mannose, better known as ace-mannan. And that is really the compound that is in aloe leaf gel. That's the reason it has a 5,000-year history for being used topically and internally to support good health. And but the new processing that has been developed, if there is a book by Dr. Bill McAnally showing about 250 additional compounds that are the metabolism of the plant, that in the original formulation of this that was made by alcohol processing, you lost all of these in the alcohol. But now with the new improved processing since the year 2000, just like in aloe, there's close to 300 nutrient molecules alone with the principal ace-mannan. So each one of these from the plants contain multiple molecules. Fact is, we did a best case cancer series for the National Institutes of Health, and they saw that we had this New Eden ingredients that we were giving these patients that did so incredibly well. Well, they liked the results, but they said our best case series is to find the plant molecule that's responsible for all these health benefits with these people that had cancer. And you have probably hundreds, if not thousands, of different plant molecules here. And we could never find the molecule that did this that we could make into a new drug. And I met with them 3 times trying to tell them that's not how the nutrition of the human body works, that the DNA needs a inventory of multiple nutrients that can be hooked together in cellular synthesis to make all the molecules that are responsible for good health, to prevent disease, and to restore health. So you can see each of these things here, and each one of them has a story behind it. And I recently had a shock. They wanted me to do a 15-minute recording about some of the new Eden ingredients. And lo and behold, 3 hours later, they said, "You're still going." So, well, you see there the different things that are on the label, but each one of them have multiple nutrients in it that the plants make. And there's something that there's several things I've learned since starting as a consultant in 1985. One of the first ones was I did not know and was never informed in all my training that the nucleic acids, the DNA in the animal kingdom is exactly like the DNA that is in the plant kingdom, but it's a different programming of the nucleic acids. The next thing I learned was that the requirement in the inventory of DNA in the animal kingdom, the molecules are present in the plant kingdom that are necessary in the inventory for optimal nutrition, for good health, to prevent disease and to restore health. And so each one of these that you read there have multiple plant nutrients in there. Let's go to the first slide. Let's talk about stabilized rice bran. Well, there are 200 plus antioxidants and phytosterols and phytochemicals in rice bran. And one of the things about the antioxidants is that in every cell you have mitochondria that take carbon chains of glucose and the sugars, and can even do the same with amino acids. And in the bond between each carbon atom is a little bit of energy that is transferred to a phosphate compound called adenosine triphosphate. In this process, free radicals are released inside the cell. Now, to get across the importance of this antioxidant activity is everyone, I think, is aware that your hot water heaters rust out and water runs all over the house and you have to replace it. And that your heating and cooling unit in your house and it's cause of rusting in the 21% oxygen in our environment. Well, inside our cells, lo and behold, the creative organizing and designing power active in the universe has provided us what would be an anti-rust system, what we call antioxidants, that quench or bind to the free radicals that essentially would cause rusting in our cells, which actually, due to the components in the cell, it's more like peanut butter or any kind of oil that you get oxidized, and it doesn't smell or taste right. And this keeps that from happening. And that provision is made in our cells if you have the right amino acids, and with ATP, you make glutathione. So glutathione is an antioxidant, and it does about 60% of the quenching inside of every cell. So rice bran is important. Also, we need fiber in our GI tract for it to work right. There are fatty acids in the rice bran. There's protein And the important thing about the amino acids in it, it's a balanced amino acid profile, meaning that the multiple amino acids that are required in the inventory of the cell for DNA to function properly, rice provides it. There are also multiple vitamins in rice bran, and especially the B complex. And then there are dietary minerals in the rice bran. So this is one of the key ingredients in New Eden. Let's go to the next slide. Now we use sunflower lecithin because if I have any talent, it's to listen to people and learn things. And if enough people from enough different places that don't even know each other tell you the same thing, it becomes information that I think is far more powerful than many of the organized medical studies that experts run. And it's their help of interns and fellows and medical students and hired nurses. And the person that gets responsible for the paper may never see any of the patients and never spend time with them. Well, I talk to people that have the problem and have lived with the problem. And they found out that dietary supplements work better if lecithin is taken at the same time as other dietary supplement ingredients. Well, the soy lecithin, there are a lot of people develop allergies to it, but sunflower lecithin has a history of very low allergy. And this helps manage the cholesterol levels of the lipids that are in the blood. You've heard of them, cholesterol and LDL cholesterol and HDL cholesterol. Well, the LDL cholesterol is the bad cholesterol. And as I say, the L stands for lethal. And when you get results, you want as low LDL cholesterol as feasible. Whereas the HDL, the H stands for healthy cholesterol. And you want to do things and to eat things and to have exercise, which increases the HDL cholesterol. Well, lecithin helps with this. Lecithin also supports liver function, which is one of the incredible organs in our body. We're a walk-in warehouse of a factory of what the liver can produce and put into the blood and pump around to the cells, which is just awesome. The lecithin is also a detoxifying agent. It can bind to toxins and keep them from being poisonous to the body. And as I said before, it has a low allergy history, and that's one of the reasons we use soy lecithin. The next slide, please. Now, one of the things that people have for a long time said, you can't get the omega fatty acids in the plant kingdom. Well, they have found out that nuts, and particularly walnuts, have the omega-3, 6, and 9 fatty acids, which the DNA calls for to be present in the inventory for proper cellular synthesis of the bioactive molecules that run the biochemistry and physiology of life. And the flaxseed is beneficial to keep a normal blood pressure. It contributes to our skin being very healthy and pliable. And sometimes we take the skin for granted, but it's one of the largest organs in the body as far as substance, and it protects everything on the inside. And it keeps our hydration or our water from evaporating, except when it's under a controlled thing to cause sweat and perspiration when we're overheated. But the skin is a very protective against the numerous organisms in our environment that would like to consume our tissues. Now, another reason we have omega seed is that there is a generation of stem cells that are called CD34s and CD131 stem cells. And very few people ever get that far in their health in high school or even in college, that in our genes is a program for which I like to use as an example. If those people that get a Mercedes automobile, they can sign up for preventive maintenance. Well, what is preventive maintenance? I can remember doctors just upset because it went down to get their oil changed and they thought it'd be $50, $60. And it was $500 to $900 because they were in the preventive program, because they know at certain mileages there are components in that Mercedes that start to fail. So they replace them before they fail. Well, would you believe that in our body, the process is called apoptosis, and it's programmed cell replacement. And these stem cells come from the bone marrow when it comes time to replace an aged, damaged, or poorly functioned cell. And these stem cells migrate in, and macrophages consume the dead or damaged cell, and the new stem cell comes in and it differentiates just like in the embryo, and it becomes not a stem cell, but either a heart cell or a liver cell or a muscle cell or one of the cells of the multiple endocrine organs. And this goes on and begins to slow down as we age. Well, we've got a component that we'll speak about later that's in New Eden that supports this apoptosis, so that as you get older and the replacement of aged and damaged cells slows down, that this ingredient supports apoptosis, and that the flaxseed also helps generate in the metabolism in the bone marrow, the CD34s and 131 stem cells. Next slide, please. Now, the aloe leaf powder is the principal focus of the research that I got brought in 1985, which was 39 years ago, when Carrington Laboratory raised $20 million to do research on the aloe leaf gel that had a 5,000-year history of being used topically and internally to support good health function. And aloe leaf gel is not only good for our skin, which we've talked about what an important structure our skin is, and the integrity and the flexibility of the skin is very important in terms of the aloe leaf gel. And in the sweat glands and in the hair shafts, there are bacteria to all of us. We carry around a load of bacteria, but the aloe leaf gel supports the immune system to keep them just in the hair shaft or just inside the sweat gland. And that's the important function of the aloe. The aloe is very good for intestinal health. And I could take all our time just talking about the different benefits that individuals have gotten, particularly young children and adults with gastrointestinal problems, that by having aloe leaf gel, they got benefits. Also, that the aloe active ingredient is acetylated mannose, and it is active in normalizing blood glucose levels, because high level of glucose is toxic to the endothelial cells that line the capillaries and other cells that line the arteries. that and veins that are kind of like the material that's in some pots and pans now that you can, they're easier to clean. Well, the aloe supports the endothelial cells that the blood doesn't clot as it flows through all the vessels. And also, one of the problems with the glucose levels is that the body can develop insulin resistance, which glucose uses insulin to go inside the cells. And this is supported by the aloe ace-mannan. The liver health, which we've emphasized before, what an incredible organ this is and how it produces so many different substances as the blood percolates through it that the body needs. And the aloe ace-mannan is used in this liver metabolism. I had mentioned before that the immune system is supported by aloe. And in fact, I have a paper here of an individual that had training in plastic surgery, and he wouldn't believe that the aloe leaf gel was as important with the skin as it is. And he was able to find out that when you would use burns on the skin of guinea pigs, that where commonly bacteria will grow in the eschar or the crust on a burn, that if you use the aloe leaf gel powder, that the bacteria are killed, and it activates within the body the antibacterial or immunology system to prevent infections from getting in the body. Then, as we say there in cellular metabolism, the ace-mannan is very active. And in our special studies that have been published, like awakening of Alzheimer's patients at the University of Miami Miller School of Medicine, the flow cytometry showed that the stem cells that are of the type of CD14 monocytic stem cells increased nearly 400% by this acetylated mannose that is in the New Eden that we gave all these dementia patients. And the blood was collected before patients entered the study, and when they exited the study, the serum was frozen. And when the test became for brain-derived neural growth factor, even though the spinal fluid was diluted with the blood volume of the patient, that it was elevated. So not only did these CD14 stem cells migrate in to replace age, damaged, or whatever it is that causes Alzheimer's, that the stem cells were differentiating into neurons by this test for brain-derived neural growth factor. And that was a test required by the IRB of the medical center for safety only. Well, not only was it shown that in these elderly patients that there was no toxicity, which was no surprise to us, we got bonuses that they improved memory and cognition. Fact is, 46% of the patients improved memory and cognition, and 23% did not progress with their dementia in the year of observation. Virtually nothing that you can do is 100%, but we were only producing the CD14 monocytic stem cells with the formulation of ace-mannan at that time. And like I've told you, we added the flaxseed to it to get CD34s and 131s too. So that's things. Now, one other thing that we found out is that with a researcher in San Antonio and in the team he has, in 670 patients, we found out that people over 50, that the objective biomarkers associated with the disabilities of aging that were developed by Tufts Medical School and Johns Hopkins Medical School for our federal government after World War II, when they realized that the amortization tables for Social Security were going to pot because people were living longer and were continuing to receive Social Security benefits. And so they did this study. What you might add is, what do we mean by grandpa or grandma or auntie or uncle are getting feeble? Well, they developed these objective biomarkers that are associated with the disabilities of aging, which can be measured over and over again, and you can tell deterioration. That's one of the things that I mentioned when Earl shows this graph of the red line out there of how you can live longer in good health. This is one of the things that the aloe leaf gel powder can do, because in these 670 patients, they reverse these biomarkers associated with disabilities of aging to much younger levels. People were able to go back to square dancing, to bowling, to golf, to tennis, to travel, to instead of watching church services on televisions, they got in the car and drove to the churches again. And in this group of 670 people that reverse these biomarkers associated with aging, that we attribute the ACE manning that is in the New Eden of this product of dietary supplementation, that the happiest people of all were older people that, because of physical and mental disabilities, they had ceased to have sexual relations even though they were married. Well, they returned to this because they felt younger and healthier, and that was the happiest people in the 1,670 people that responded favorably to the New Eden, and we attribute it primarily to the aloe ACE mannan that is in it. We have soon found out, and research is ongoing right now, that the gold standard for anti-aging that has been discovered is the telomeres that are caps on the ends of all the chromosomes in every cell. These telomeres protect the DNA from damage. Also, some important information is that people that live to be 100 or older have long telomeres in those families, and families that people die from some chronic disease, some between, say, 55 and 70, have short telomeres. Long telomeres. Animals with short lifetimes have short telomeres. Well, by adding the New Eden to your diet that has this aloe leaf powder ACE mannan in it, it elongates telomeres. And the voice you hear is that of an 88-year-old retired doctor. And my telomeres, since I've been taking this since off and on since 1985, are that of a 30 to 40-year-old male. So that is, we'll just have to see if this reverse biomarkers and this elongated telomeres will allow me to live many more years. But that's aloe leaf gel is the most important and has had the most research done on it in regard to the ingredients in the New Eden. Next slide, please. Now, someone is talking. I don't know whether they're asking a question.
And we got it covered.
I can't, Earl, I can't control this for the first time here.
Well, okay. Now, cysteine is a very special amino acid. Why is it so special? It's only present in cruciferous vegetables. And unfortunately, in our culture of the North America, we're not very often consumers of turnips, cauliflower, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, kale, leafy kale, and radishes, and the cruciferous vegetables. Well, that's why the cruciferous vegetables have a little bite in them or a little wang to them, because this cysteine is an amino acid that has a sulfur attached to it as well as an amino group. And so we don't have much of this in our diet. In fact, you can't threaten children enough in trying to get them to have a broad diet to eat this, because they just don't like the flavor of the cruciferous vegetables. But you can put cysteine into your dietary supplement, and it doesn't give a bite. And the importance of cysteine, as I mentioned earlier, about every cell has a mitochondria in it that develops ATP from breaking the carbon bonds in primarily glucose and other carbohydrates, though it can also do it in amino acids. But cysteine is combined with glutamate and glycine, which are simple amino acids that we have abundant in our food supply. And they three of them together with ATP, which you have to have energy to hook them together, make glutathione. And glutathione is that anti-rust or that free radical quenching molecule that is made and actually is like a little cloud around all the mitochondria, so that you can grab any free radicals that are produced while making energy to run the body, and to keep from that oxidizing inside the cell, because free radicals, if they attach to the membranes, see, free radicals have either a positive or a negative charge on them, just like a little bar magnet that I frequently use to demonstrate this. And when they attach to membranes in the cell, it alters the functions of the membranes. What are we talking about? Membranes around the nucleus, membranes of the ribosomes, the endoplasmic reticulum and the Golgi, and the membranes at the border of the cell. And this is not healthy. Well, the worst type of attachment, because of the positive or negative charge of free radicals, is if they attach to the chromosomes or the DNA, because that is a code written in molecules and it alters the code. And this is called a mutation. And this glutathione, which is essential to make it by having cysteine in your diet, because it's the rate limiting synthesis that you can make for glutathione. So you want to have that in the inventory for your genes to make glutathione. And the worst type of attachment to the chromosomes is the mutation that causes malignancy. And we're talking about either leukemia, lymphoma, or cancer of the glands or of the connective tissue, which we call sarcomas. Well, this glutathione and the having your cysteine in the inventory for cellular synthesis is very important. And as I say, it's present in the cruciferous vegetables, which we don't tend to eat, but we can put it in the dietary supplement, and you don't have to turn up your nose at it. Next slide, please.
I'm wondering, it's a good time to stop, Dr. Reg. Can we carry on until next week? Start at the next one?
That'd be fine. As I said, I sometimes get carried away trying to tell you as much. I know that people just want to know.
I haven't
what
heard
does this
anybody
do for
complain.
me. And having a good inventory of nutrients for your genes is very important, and that's what over years I've put together in New Eden, which is available on the web.
Yeah. Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Dr. Reg before we close?
Gail has a couple questions.
Okay, Gail.
You're muted. Gail, you're muted.
I'm working on it.
There you are. Okay.
Let's see what I asked. Well, in the beginning, the study that he was talking about is when will it ever be available for us to get? When in the beginning, the study, first study, before we started, sort of, you were talking about a study. And let's say,
She's wondering what is available, Dr. Reg, for the people on the call.
yeah.
Say, what's that question again, please?
Is your study available for people on the call to see the information?
That was when you first studied, when you started, when you were, or before when you were talking about all the studies that you had done, actually before we started, sort of.
Well, let me say this, if you're interested in some area where we have studies published, for example, in brain function on my computer, I can send a list of 26 published papers of how the dietary supplementation built around the active ingredient in New Eden has improved brain function, which is the mind. And I mentioned the anti-aging effect in the 670 people down in San Antonio. Well, I've also got a paper that's been published about the awakening of the Alzheimer's patients that improve memory and cognition. But there are multiple areas that if you have a question, you have my email there. It's a capital R next to it, MCDANIEL. If you use a little r, you won't see it. And you will just put McDaniel. So we put a capital R there to emphasize it's R McDaniel at wellnessquest.com. And if you have interest in a special area, I may have published papers or information that I can share with you about, because as I say, people are not really all that, I'm afraid, interested in what I have to say. They want to know, what can this do for me? And I can tell them the main thing I can guarantee you is that good food, good nutrition does not cause toxicity and adverse side effects. We have people that say they give less wrinkles. Their hair that has been silver since they were in the teenager turns black. The quality of their skin improves, and they sleep better at night and have more energy. Is the types of side effects we have. Also, that wounds heal faster, and they have less viral and bacterial infections that they catch wherever they work or in society. Those are the type of side effects that we have, whereas drugs, unfortunately, as Paracelsus said, all drugs are poisons. That's why they have these ads on TV. They start out with beautiful colors and beautiful people and music and telling you all the wonders of this new drug. Then they turn to black and white and talk as fast as they can to tell you that it can cause strokes, heart attacks, kidney failure, liver failure, all types of terrible side effects, because the mechanism of action of pharmaceutical drugs is to interfere with the engineering and design of life to suppress symptoms. And actually, the ideal drug, if you quit taking it, the symptoms come back. Well, dietary nutrition works with the genes to make compounds to move things to the normal zone. And this is not a new idea. The father of pharmacology, not pharmacology, but human physiology, Dr. Hans Selye, called this balance among the cells that we're talking about, that this supports, homeostasis. Well, the homeostasis in all the cells in the S1 phase of cells, which is what I call the good health keeping state. Everything inside the cell, the genes are turned on to try to get them in balance and harmony for all the cells in the body. Well, the important thing is there are no deviations from normal if you achieve homeostasis. And in fact, as the genes are turned on, if you have the nutrients to move toward homeostasis, you feel better and have more energy and sleep better and have more endurance. But the very important thing is there are no deviations from normal when you get homeostasis among all the cells. And that is where we get into conflict with the conventional medicine that has influence in Washington, that only an FDA-approved drug can claim to treat, cure, mitigate disease, or correct an abnormal health problem. Well, we don't cure disease. All we do is improve nutrition and turn it over to the DNA, which works with at the element, the molecule, the ion level, which is a microcosmos, too small for human intervention or participation. All we do is just improve the nutrient inventory. And I'm going through the different substances that over the years I developed to put together to move the condition in the cells to the homeostatic zone. And that's why we have such good benefits for so many different conditions.
And Dr. Ridge, Gail also wanted to know about telomeres, but we're short on time tonight. So maybe next week you could, she said, how do we find out how long our telomeres are? But we don't have any time for that tonight. So
well, I can tell you it's a test in Houston and it's expensive.
oh, you have to come to Houston and visit us, Gail.
Or email him.
Dr. Reg can answer quickly.
Ask a question, hon. I know.
Well,
Ask a question.
Wanda and Ed are going to stay on the call to talk with Dr. Ridge now.
Yeah.
And so I think we'll probably end the call right now as far as everybody else.
Well, I hope I'm addressing what you're interested in. And again, if you have questions, you've got the email and I'll do my best to be responsive.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, we'll continue with this ingredients next week. And we invite you all to join us again.
Thank you.
So
For this opportunity to share.
yeah, we are going to stay on the call with Dr. Reg with Ed and Wanda Pearson. So we just you can leave the call because it's going to be a private call.
I noticed the meeting is being recorded. Is there a way I can see that?
Yeah. Are you good? Are you
I can go on the website and take a look at it.
yeah, you'll
or
have
get an answer.